Hello, I'm Kim from Dreamorpheus Transpersonal Therapy, and welcome to another of my surprise live videos. Probably most likely you're watching this as a recording because I do tend to be a bit spontaneous about these little live videos that I do. The reason I've come on today is because while I've written an article about Venus retrograde, I did not do sign-by-sign horoscopes for this transit. And I know a lot of you out there are wondering, well, what does this mean for my sign? What does this mean for me? Because Venus retrograde began on the 5th of October, which is a few days ago, about a weekend. We had that dark moon Venus retrograde weekend, and just before that too, Pluto station. So it was really kind of dark and intense. Things have lightened up as the light is returning with the new moon. Just a couple of, what was that, yesterday? Oof, time is flying, flying here for me. Yeah, so the new moon light is coming back. We've kind of got that initial shock of or that about face. I've heard stories of people breaking up, people hearing back from exes, and with Venus retrograde, you may want to think that over before you get too deeply embedded. Because what happens with a retrograde of a planet is we're going back and we're like getting a new perspective on an old situation. With Venus, it's particularly potent to think back 8 years ago. I know 8 years ago I was in the midst of intense preparation for an initiation into a coven that I'm still with, and I was also preparing to travel overseas. I'm a Pisces rising, so my 9th house of belief and travel is lit up by Venus retrograde in Scorpio. So it happened 8 years ago. It's happening again. I've just returned from a trip this time, and I'm moving into more teaching work. That's what I'm doing with my sacred work here, the thing that I'm talking to you about right now. So yeah, that's the theme for Pisces rising. It starts in the 9th house. This is the Venus retrograde in Scorpio. And that's where we start to sort of go, well, how can I do things differently? What can I reshape here? What like feels good for me in the way that I relate to this topic and the people that I connect with? Because Venus has a priority, relationships. She wants to bring people together. When Venus goes retrograde, you take a new perspective on existing relationships and how you want to relate to people in the future, and also you reflect on your relationship with yourself. If what you feel within is not in alignment with what is in your outside world, you will make changes. I should probably do this sequentially, but I just want to dive into Scorpio because Scorpio, this is happening in your sign. So if you're a Scorpio rising, it's happening in your 1st house. You might decide that your physical appearance and the way that you engage with the world needs an update, needs a shake-up. You want to like do it differently. Yeah, so anyway, let's do this sequentially, nice and systematic. My Saturn and, you know, my Mercury retrograde brain will appreciate the structure. So if you're an Aries rising, Venus starts retrograde in Scorpio in your 8th house. The 8th house is concerned with shared resources, contracts with other people, long-range financial planning. So that is under review. Maybe you'll switch financial planners or negotiate a new arrangement with how you share your resources with a partner. When Venus stations direct in the middle of November, Venus will be a lot happier because she'll be in Libra. And also too, so what happened in that 8th house, the retrograde period, it's like digging for gold, and the gold will be found in your relationship. So the changes that you make around finances and shared resources and long-range planning and like deep psychological stuff, intimacy, how you connect, will change the way you sort of relate one-on-one. So that's the shift. That's the goal that you get out of this retrograde journey through the underworld. Taurus, this is happening straight up. This is playing out, you know, you're rethinking all your one-on-one relationships because Venus starts her retrograde in your 7th house. She'll go direct in your 6th house. And for you, Libra, and you, Taurus, share the same ruler. So when Venus goes direct, you're going to be feeling like a heap better. You'll feel like that you have a plan, and you'll introduce new rituals that nourish your kind of like the beat to your day, your work, your healthcare, and that will have flow-on benefits to your, you know, the things that came up in your relationship, like a new kind of routine, what you do, what nourishes you. Gemini starts off in the 6th house, so your like routine, your work, relationships are possibly a little bit off. Your health might be a little bit off because you haven't been looking after yourself. And the most radical thing that you can do is love yourself. Self-love is the first love. So yeah, get amongst that right now, Gemini. I know you will be. Hey, Vanessa. And when Venus goes direct in November, that happens in your 5th house. So here you'll connect to, like, you know, joy and creativity. So out of the structure and you know, the healthy containers that you create for self-care, you'll find that your creativity is boosted and, you know, flourishes, overflows, a cup overflowing. It'll be awesome. Cancer, your joy for life is being challenged by this Venus retrograde. You kind of like disconnected from the things that make you happy. So you're digging deep, you're finding out, you need to like reconnect with your cup that runneth over. You're a water sign. Ultimately, this hard work that you're doing about connecting with your joy will give you benefits. And yeah, I've lost my train of thought there. Reading and speaking at the same time is not a win for me. Yeah, so Venus will go direct in your 4th house, and that's almost like a restoration of peace and tranquility in your home and family. You know, you can rediscover some joy. And I'm saying hi to Tiani, I'm saying hi to Helen, I'm saying hi to everybody that pops over. Hey. Yeah, so Cancer, this Venus retrograde will reconnect you with the joy that you find with family and friends and your home. And that's really beautiful for you because you love your family, friend, and home life. Leo, there's like some reflecting and how you relate to your home environment and your family members. That's what you're reshaping during this Venus retrograde. You might find like relationships with family members need to be retweaked, reshaped. You know, check how you're relating to, you know, family dynamics in general. And, you know, that can be difficult. Families, like, you know, if anything's going to do it, family relationships will trigger us. Leo, the cure, the magic, the treasure that you find at the end of the Venus retrograde period, which will be improved communication and probably connection with your siblings and the people in your local environment. So that sense of community, something to look forward to. With Virgo, your communication is key to your relationships, and you're looking for ways of how you can like reinvigorate that and connect with you know, harmony there. How can you communicate in a way that brings harmony? And that's harmony within as well as without. So it's not just talking to people, it's also self-talk and your mental chatter. So work on that if you're a Virgo rising. And the gold that you will discover by mid-November when Venus turns direct is a solid reconnection to what you value. You almost also might find that you get a little bit of money coming in, which, you know, never say no to. A little bit of cash flow is always welcome. Right, that was Virgo. And after Virgo, we have Libra. Libra, you know, money, it's a little bit off. Self-esteem, maybe you're not all that, but maybe you are. And by the time Venus turns direct in your first house, you'll like have aligned how you value yourself, your like core values, like what's really important to you, with what you show to the world. So yes, there's that financial aspect to it and sorting out your budget, do that, but that's an important part of self-care, is doing those things that kind of aren't fun. Like nobody likes balancing a budget or like facing up to like the stack of bills that you've been kind of like putting off and ignoring for a little while. But that is self-care, and you will feel fantastic once you've taken care of that and feel really capable, and that confidence will brim over by November. So that's Libra, and we're on to Scorpio. Scorpio, you've got at the moment the two planetary good guys on your team. Like you've got Jupiter and Venus. Venus is doing some stuff, but doing some stuff in the underworld. That's where you thrive. You like love coming to the ultimate truth, and you can sniff it out, and you're really doing that in how you relate to others. Self-love, really important for you, and self-care, and how you fill your own cup. Yeah, you've got plenty to give, but you also need to be prepared to receive. And yeah, you want to really be able to trust the person you're with, and the only way to do it is by trusting your own instincts. You'll need some time alone probably to reflect on this, and that will happen when Venus changes into Libra at the end of the month, Halloween, yeah, or Beltane if you're like a southern hemisphere pagan reveler. Yeah, so Venus will go into your 12th house, and that will be when you really like spend some time alone, Scorpio, reflect on all that stuff that's kind of been dredged up. Hey Kelly. And yeah, like allow yourself some healing time, that those sort of spiritual epiphanies come in, like the bigger picture of it all, and then you'll be ready to sort of take on the world and reap all those benefits when Venus comes back through. Sagittarius, you're like, reconnecting with the receptive feminine principle within, taking some time out to retreat, meditate, reflect on what's meaningful for you. And that's meaning like in the deepest sense, and the ways that you torture yourself. In the 12th house, like, our time alone can be really beautiful and healing and ultimately productive, but it can also be a time that we beat ourselves up. So Sagittarius, you need to really sort of, think about what's going on behind the scenes for you. Reconnecting with your friends when Venus goes direct in Libra. In mid-November. I'm losing my words. Yeah, that would be like, so after this period of kind of quiet reflection in inwardness, how you relate to people, reconnect, go out there and, show the people that, you love and that support you, that you love and support them right back. And that'll be a really wonderful time. Capricorn, this starts off with a reflection. The Venus retrograde starts off with a reflection of how you relate to your friends and networks. Are they healthy? Are they harmonious? Do you feel valued within your networks? Is it reciprocal? And these are really important questions for Capricorn at the moment. And it probably relates a lot to your career direction, and who's there with you by your side. By November, mid-November, when Venus stations direct, you'll know who's got your back and who's been stabbing it. But that knowledge is really powerful. It's a wonderful thing, and great things are possible. So yeah, be ambitious. Like I need to tell you, Capricorn. Aquarius, in your 10th house. This is where, like, are you where you want to be? Do you value what you're doing in your career, or is it just something that you do to bring in the money? And that deeper sense of value and purpose out in the world, and how you relate to your job or what you're recognized for, you know, out and about. Like, you know, you might be a baker. Do you really love being a baker? You know, or do you just pay the bills by being a baker? And really what you want to do is become a yoga teacher. So there's that kind of disconnect. And how can you, you know, draw in what you truly value at a deeper spiritual level, like the truth of your worldly direction? You might find by the time that Venus goes direct in Libra in mid-November that you'll be interested in some further training and perhaps want to extend your horizons. You might, you know, just go, oh gosh, look, let's can it all. I'm going traveling. So these are the kind of things that are bubbling up for Aquarius. Pisces, I talked a bit about myself before because I'm a Pisces rising, and that ninth house stuff, that desire to go further is, you know, what Pisces rising and, you know, Pisces sun, if you don't know your time of birth. Yeah, overseas connections are really valuable at the moment. You know, are they reciprocal? Higher learning, traveling, overseas connections, teaching. These are all, like, you know, you need to find your place within them. How can you reshape your relationship to these areas of life? And the answer to that is by going deeper. Venus stations direct in your 8th house. So, you know, like questions of intimacy and, you know, power balance to a certain degree, like who's putting in and who's taking out. Yeah, and having those really truthful conversations and finding a balance. Yeah, so that's a quick run through of all the signs for Venus retrograde in Scorpio and then into Libra. If you want to go deeper and look at your own chart, you can certainly book a consultation with me. You might like to choose a focused divination if because you know, what Venus is doing now for you will depend on what Venus does in your natal chart, what your, you know, Venus wants to do generally. And we can certainly, hey, Selena's here as well. Yeah, lovely to have you all on. It's been a bit of a winged, I've been winging it, session. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know where, what your rising sign is, what your Venus where your Venus is, if you know it. And if this like super quick and dirty rundown of Venus retrograde sign by sign resonated for you. Yeah, thanks heaps for dropping on. I'm gonna pop this up. It'll be on my Facebook page. I'll pop it up on YouTube as well. Yeah, see you on the socials, people. Bye.